Welcome to According to Sam, folks. This is episode 281. Thank you for tuning in. It's the second week of the second Trump administration. And what are they freaking out about this week? I hope you guys had a great weekend. The big story today is Trump's immigration policy and the fact that ICE is doing raids in American cities, arresting people. It is a new message about the way the United States is handling the border. Donald Trump, new president, new message, and that's what this is all about. There's a lot going on that I want to cover with you in regards of the new immigration policy. And it's not really new policy, as you're going to see. Barack Obama, the deporter in chief, deported millions of illegals out of the country. The only problem is the difference with Barack Obama is that he kept the border open. So he would deport people and then they would just come back. I think that, if you remember the woman that was shot while she was walking on the Embarcadero in San Francisco with her father. She's murdered by an illegal alien and shot in the neck and bleeds out there. The guy that shot Kate Steinle, he had been deported 4 times. So the fact that Obama deported people, that's not a real big deal, which he deported a lot of people. But he kept the border open, so many of those people that he deported, they got to come back in. It was a revolving door. He would deport them, they'd come back in. That's not happening now. There's new messaging, there's new policy, and we're going to get into it today. I want to start by explaining what the law says. This is 8 U.S. Code 1325, improper entry by an alien. This is the law in the United States. You may not like this law. You may think this law is unfair, but this is the law. And until you change this law has to be enforced. It says in proper time or place, avoidance of examination or inspection, misrepresentation, and concealment of facts. Any alien, one, enters or attempts to enter the United States at any time or place other than as designated by the immigration officers. 2, eludes examination or inspection by immigration officers. 3, attempts to enter or obtain entry into the United States by a willfully false or misleading representation or willful concealment of material fact shall, in the first commission of such offense, be fined. So this is the first time you do it, first time you come in. Like I was just telling you, Obama deported a lot of people. They would turn around and come back. The guy who killed Kate Steinle was deported 4 times before he killed Kate Steinle. So on the first commission of such an offense of entering the country illegally, you can be fined under Title 18 or in prison not more than 6 months, or both. You can get fined or imprisoned for not more than 6 months on your first offense of entering the United States illegally. And for a subsequent, this is your second time, you do it again for your subsequent commission of such an offense, be fined under Title 18 or in prison not more than 2 years. It's 2 years in prison or both. And then it goes down in here and talks about, marriage fraud, other different types of fraud, from fraud that mean defrauding our immigration. So this is the law. This is the law. And we have a president of the United States now that is enforcing this law, and people are freaking out. Take a listen.
Major developments on immigration just days after President Trump declared an emergency at the southern border. A military buildup underway. The first of some 1,500 active duty troops have arrived. Marines from Camp Pendleton arriving with heavy equipment and Osprey aircraft. And for the first time, military planes are making deportation flights. This C-17 at Fort Bliss, Texas. Migrants in restraint seen boarding a flight to Guatemala. A new image from inside another flight taking off from Tucson, Arizona. Meantime,
now, why are they in restraints? Why are they in restraints? First of all, because many of these people are people that have not only broken this law, 8 U.S. Code 1325, but have also come in after breaking this law and broken other laws. So these are criminals. And so that's why they're in restraints. And again, going back to the last podcast, that Donald Trump won and ran on doing exactly what he's doing. So these are promises made, promises kept.
A new image from inside another flight taking off from Tucson, Arizona. Meantime, the administration saying that arrests are ramping up. More than 500 undocumented migrants arrested in multiple cities over the last 24 hours. And tonight, the president's new border czar, Tom Homan, saying this is only the beginning. ABC's chief global affairs correspondent, Martha Raddatz, leads us off tonight.
Tonight, for the first time, U.S. military aircraft flying undocumented migrants out of the country as President Donald Trump launches his deportation campaign. The White House releasing these pictures, dozens of migrants in chains boarding C-17 air.
So the White House is releasing these pictures. Why is the White House releasing these pictures? Why does Trump want to get these pictures out and people to see what's going on? Because this is a deterrent. This is new messaging. And this is very important that you got to understand. And this is what people don't like. It's not like Donald Trump is deporting more people than Obama did. Even Joe Biden in his last year, in 2024, Joe Biden started to put the clamps down on the border because he needed to, because he was running for re-election. And so Biden started to enforce this law, U.S. Code 1325. Biden started to enforce this law in his last year, even though he didn't enforce it in his first 3 years. And Trump hasn't even scratched the surface in the deportations that Biden did in his last year, or the deportations that were done throughout the entire administration of Barack Obama. Trump hasn't even gotten it. He hasn't even scratched the surface to those numbers from Biden and Obama. And people weren't freaking out over them. But the difference is the messaging is that Trump is doing a PR campaign. That's why he's putting out the photographs. They want people to see this. He wants people to understand that there is a new sheriff in town and there's new policy.
For the first time, U.S. military aircraft flying undocumented migrants out of the country as President Donald Trump launches his deportation campaign. The White House releasing these pictures, dozens of migrants in chains boarding C-17 aircraft. The flights landing in Guatemala carrying roughly 160 people, men and women.
Deportation's going very well.
Today, the Trump administration's new border czar, Tom Homan, telling me it's only the beginning.
Is that going to be a constant commitment from the U.S. military every single day to take deportees out?
Yes.
This as the military buildup on the border escalates. 1,500.
Hey, that's a real border czar. Not like Kamala Harris. This is a real border czar. We got a real border czar now. Not like Kamala Harris.
Every single day to take deportees out?
Yes.
This as the military buildup on the border escalates. 1,500 active duty personnel, Army and Marines deploying. Their mission to support enhanced detection and monitoring efforts and repair and replace physical barriers. ABC's Matt Rivers on the ground in San Diego.
So right now these Marines are offloading concertina wire. They're going to bring it right down to the border to reinforce it. It's clearly meant to be a deterrent against future migration. Deterrent. These kinds of supply flights, we might see a lot more of them over the coming months.
Far from the border, ICE raids and arrests in cities across the country in the days since the president was sworn in, some of them likely long planned, but a clear sign of what's to come.
Listen to what she says. Some of them likely long planned. A lot of these raids that were going on were already planned, and these are things that the Biden administration was already doing in his last year. Biden administration ramped up deportations. They were already doing the raids under Biden. They just weren't putting out the promotional materials, the pictures. They just weren't broadcasting it. Everyone didn't understand, but most of these arrests that are being made right now were already scheduled arrests that the Biden administration was already scheduling, because the Biden administration was already doing this and already ramping up deportations and these ICE seizures. They just weren't broadcasting it out there, getting the new PR out there, the new messaging that, hey, there's a new sheriff in town. This is the new policy.
Across the country in the days since the president was sworn in, some of them likely long planned, but a clear sign of what's to come. Boston, New York, and Newark, New Jersey. Newark's mayor saying agents raided a small business without a warrant, detaining American citizens in the process.
People were fingerprinted, pictures of their IDs and face.
So we're going to talk about these mayors and governors, because some of these Democrat mayors and Democrat governors, they're saying that they're going to stand up to Trump, and it's not going to work out well for them. This was on The View today. I just want to play this clip to reiterate what I've been telling you, that there is nothing new about what Donald Trump is doing, that Obama's numbers are still unachievable, really, for Donald Trump. Hasn't even scratched the surface of what Obama did as the deporter in chief. Even what Biden did in his last year, Trump hasn't even scratched the surface. So there's nothing new going on besides the messaging, and the border is going to be secure, so they won't be able to come back. But I want you to listen to Sarah Haynes here.
Is this the immigration system fix that people had in mind when they voted?
Yep.
Do you think?
Well, it's hard to tell at this table because no one voted for him. But I think if you were, I don't know yet. It's kind of, it's disturbing what we're seeing, and the headlines and all the coverage would make you think that there's this massive deportation. But by numbers, contextually, President Obama still remains the deporter in chief. Even if Trump continues at this rate, he will not even hit what President Obama hit in 1 year with 400,000. But the point here is that it's meant to be a PR campaign. So it's meant to scare people. That's what they're doing right now. And when you look at these flights where they are deporting people back to their origin nation, we don't know who they are, and that's where I'd like to see more transparency.
So what she's saying is absolutely right. She's saying that it's meant to scare people. It's meant, a lot of people are self-deporting. A lot of people are saying they're not going to fool with this. They don't want to live in fear, so we're just going to go back to their home country. A lot of people who were on their way to the United States through the Darien Gap, they're looking at the news. They're seeing the reporting. We may as well turn around. It is meant to scare people. It is meant to send new messaging that there's a new sheriff in town, that there's new policy, and you're not going to be welcome anymore. And just like she said, Obama did 400,000 in 1 year. I mean, Obama's numbers are still, Trump will not be able to even scratch the surface. I hope he tries. I hope he gets close, because we need it. But I mean, there's nothing new going on from what Obama and even Biden did in his last year. The only thing that's different is the messaging, and it is meant to scare you. It is meant to deter you. It is meant to say, don't come. That is what it is all about. I want you to listen to the interview that Martha from ABC did with Tom Homan yesterday. Take a listen.
We got military on the border, not only helping us with departure flights on military planes, but they're helping to build infrastructure. They're putting up concertina wire. They're down there to create a secure border and lock that border down. And DOD's helped administrations before, but not at this level. So it's a force multiplier, and it's sending a strong signal to the world, our border's closed.
So it's sending a strong signal to the world. We're trying to send the message to all of the world. We're closed. We're closed. Our border's closed. You're not going to be able to fly down to Colombia and cross over into Panama anymore and take the Darien Gap all the way up. That's not going to work anymore. That we're closed. You're not going to be able to cross our border without us knowing that you're crossing our border, and be a security risk and just sit around in the United States as an illegal. All that's over. And we want to send that message to the world, is what Homan says here. We want to send the message to the world that we're closed.
Lock that border down, and DOD's helped administrations before, but not at this level. So it's a force multiplier, and it's sending a strong signal to the world. Our border's closed.
Send them a message. Sending a message to all the world, everywhere, that we're closed. And this is the U.S. Immigration Custom Forces, their X page, and they keep putting out these images and these promotional PR images and tools. Like they're letting you know, this is just the other day, 956 arrests, 554 detainees lodged. We're doing our job. They keep putting out all of this messaging. And give us a call if you have any illegals or illegal activity going on in your city. You witness it. Give us a call. And they keep putting out their number. They're putting out all of this promotional material. This is all PR. This is all messaging. They want to get the message out that we're closed. It's all that's going on. It's not that Trump's doing more deportations than Obama or Biden. It's just the messaging has changed. We're sending the message that we are closed, and that's important. This was some video from the two journalists from Muckraker, and they flew down to Colombia. They took the trip up through the Darien Gap, and they hopped on the trains and took, the entire trek that these immigrants have been taking for years, invading our country. And they took some video of these guys that were marching into Mexico up to the border. This is during the Biden administration. And listen to what these immigrants said, that this is different messaging. Now, they understand that Biden was welcoming to immigrants. Biden likes immigrants, so we like Biden because Biden likes immigrants. And then you're going to hear them say, we don't like Trump because Trump don't like immigrants. This is all about the messaging, and the messaging now is changing. There's a new sheriff in town. Trump is the new president, and they want to send the understanding that we're closed, that no, we don't welcome immigrants, illegal immigrants. That this is a new administration. But this is why it's important. Take a listen.
Sí. Aquí están todos los países. Aquí viene de todo, cubano, venezolano, nicaragüense, hondureño, Guatemala, Colombia.
So they're naming all these countries that they're coming from, not just Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Cubans, that we're coming from all of these different places to the United States.
Aquí están todos los países. Aquí viene de todo, cubano, venezolano, nicaragüense, hondureño, Guatemala, Colombia, Cuba.
¿Por qué todos le gusta el presidente Biden? ¿Por qué?
Es un presidente que ayuda mucho al inmigrante.
Es un futuro mejor, Biden.
¿Biden por todos?
Por todos.
Sí. No, pero ¿por qué los migrantes le gusta Biden?
He's asking, why do you guys like Biden? What is it about Joe Biden that you guys like? Because Biden supports immigrantes. Biden supports immigrants. Biden sends the messaging out to the world that immigrants are welcome, that we want you to come. And if you send that messaging out, that's what you're going to get. So this is the understanding that these people have, is that under the Biden administration, that you're welcome, that we want, even though our laws say don't come in illegal, and just because you're poor doesn't mean that you get to declare refugee status just because you're poor. We can't take in the world's poor just because they're poor as refugees. So, but their understanding is that Biden welcomes us. That's why we support and we like Biden, is what they're saying.
¿Es un mejor presidente de Trump?
Is Biden better than Trump, is what he asked them.
Tu opinión de Trump?
Trump no sirve.
Trump no good. Trump no like immigrants. And then they go and talk. There's a couple more people that they talk to, and I just want you to see here. This is just not just one group.
Opinión de Biden es bueno o no bueno?
Bueno. We like Biden. Bueno.
Los migrantes de Venezuela y otros países, ¿te gusta presidente Biden o no?
Yes, we like Biden. We like Biden.
Sí.
Biden supports immigrants.
Okay.
Biden tells us to come.
¿Tu opinión de presidente Trump?
No quiero immigrantes. He doesn't want immigrants. The messaging that Trump gives off, the image that Trump gives off to the world, that in what he's trying to do with his immigration policy, but not only the immigration policy, the PR campaign that he's on, to put the messaging out there that no, immigrants are not welcome. No, you're not welcome. We do not want you to come illegally. If you have an asylum claim, make that claim at the closest place to your home country and make that asylum claim. But no, you just can't come to our border and cross over. That's the messaging that Trump projects. It's different from the messaging that Biden projected and Kamala Harris. They welcome. They projected the messaging throughout the world that you're welcome. Even though our laws say don't come, that you're welcome. And these people understand that. And now they're getting a different message. And people are freaking out. This was Paul Rodriguez, the comedian Paul Rodriguez. This was during Trump's first administration back in 2017, 2018, when the immigration debate was going on. And I want you to listen to what Paul Rodriguez says here to Don Lemon.
You know, we're a nation of immigrants. Look out there tonight at the Statue of Liberty. We have
always the Statue of Liberty.
Why are we so divided in this country as to what to do about this problem?
I don't think we are divided. I think America has is heart in the right place. We need to be compassionate. We need to be strong and enforce our laws. It is precisely why we should make it clear in these countries.
Make it clear.
Of the trauma that they're obviously going through, but name me a Latin American country that doesn't have poor people. We have to set laws. We have to invest and let them know that it isn't the land of milk and honey, that life isn't easy here. You know, my heart goes out to the parents that have to traumatize their kids to go through Mexico. They must go through terrible abuse. But at the same time, if we accept these children and we don't repatriate them, it's only going to send out a clear signal to everyone in Latin America that if you get to America, you will stay here. And then if you think those numbers are big now, it's hard to trust the statistics.
People, listen to what he's saying. He's saying that if you send out it's all about the messaging. If you send out the message to the world that if you get to America, you're going to be able to stay, you're going to have more people come. You're going to have more people come from all over the world. You need to send the messaging. There needs to be a clear message that you're not welcome, that you cannot come to the United States and just stay, is what Paul Rodriguez says.
An American country that doesn't have poor people, we have to set laws. We have to invest and let them know that it isn't the land of milk and honey, that life isn't easy here. You know, my heart goes out to the parents that have to traumatize their kids to go through Mexico. They must go through terrible abuse. But at the same time, if we accept these children and we don't repatriate them, it's only going to send out a clear signal to everyone in Latin America that if you get to America, you will stay here. And then if you think those numbers are big now, it's hard to trust the statistics.
People may be surprised to hear that coming from someone who is an immigrant.
Absolutely. But, you know, there are ways to come to this country. You know, there are ways, there are legal ways. Look,
listen to what Don Lemon says. People may be surprised to hear an immigrant say that. Do you know if he came in illegally, or if Paul Rodriguez's family, you know, did things right and like millions of people wait in line to do it right? People shouldn't just be able to cut in line and and break our laws and become United States citizens is ridiculous. And these people like Don Lemon, I swear, it's like they don't think. I don't know what. I mean, here's another example. Bernie Sanders, and I've played this clip before. This is Ezra Klein from Vox News, and he's interviewing Bernie Sanders and pressuring him about what it means to be a democratic socialist. And he says that, well, if you're a democratic socialist, shouldn't that mean that you should want open borders, that you want a socialist world, that you can't only have a socialist country, that if you want socialism, that means that you have to let everybody in from all over the world and have a socialist world, is what Ezra Klein says to him. And watch what Bernie Sanders says. He says that's ridiculous.
Something that is in what you said about being a democratic socialist is a more international view. But I think if you take global poverty that seriously, it leads you to conclusions that in the U.S. are considered out of political bounds. Things like sharply raising the level of immigration we permit, even up to a level of open borders, about sharply increasing
open borders.
Foreign aid.
Open borders. That's a Koch brothers proposal. The
really?
idea.
Yes.
I mean, that's a right-wing proposal, which says essentially there is no United States.
But that's the old right wing. That's the old Republican Party. But he's right. That was a Koch brothers, a right wing type of proposal when he was saying this. That yes, for cheap labor, there were conservatives like the Koch brothers that wanted open borders for the cheap labor.
Open borders?
Foreign aid.
That's a Koch brothers proposal. The
really?
idea, of course. I mean, that's a right-wing proposal, which says essentially there is no United States.
But it would make a lot of global poor richer, wouldn't it?
And it'd make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with.
Listen to what he's saying. That if you have open borders, it's going to make you have Americans on the street. You have veterans on the street. You have Americans that are living, paycheck to paycheck. They don't know where. If they got into an emergency where they would get $1,000 to get them out of an emergency. You have Americans that are in really tough shape right now. And instead of having open borders where you have a social safety net where you're taking care of the entire world's poor here in the United States, why don't you just take care of the people that are already here in the United States? Do that. Be faithful to that before you start bringing in other people from all over the world. Show me how you take care of the people that are in your country already, that are on the poverty line, that don't know where their next meal is coming from, that don't have $1,000 that they can have access to if they get into some type of medical emergency or anything. You have people that are on the verge of starvation who are Americans that already live in this country. What would make you think that we can open up our borders and have a social safety net for the entire world and the world's poor people? How does that make sense to you? Even Bernie Sanders understood this back then. I don't know if he understands it now, but back then he understands that open borders hurts American workers. And it is a ridiculous thing to even propose. But there are eggheads like this Ezra Klein here that believe this, that actually believe that we should have open borders, that we should have a social safety net for the entire world's poor. It is unrealistic.
And that's a Koch brothers proposal. The idea,
really?
Of course. I mean, that's a right-wing proposal, which says essentially there is no United States.
But it would make a lot of global poor richer, wouldn't it?
And it would make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with the concept of a nation state. And I don't think there's any country in the world which believes in that. If you believe in a nation state, or in a country called the United States, or UK, or Denmark, or any other country, you have an obligation, in my view, to do everything we can to help poor people.
To help the poor people of that country.
This country would love as an open border policy. Bring in all kinds of people who work for $2 or $3 an hour. That would be.
Well, I mean, when he was saying this was a right-wing proposal, but it seems to be a left-wing proposal. Now the Democrats are supporting open borders. Now, Democrats used to be for workers. This is just one example where Democrats have betrayed workers. Democrats used to be against open borders. Democrats used to be against trade policies that were harmful to American workers. Democrats used to fight for American workers. And this is just one of the open borders and wanting, millions of people to come in from all over the world. Now the Democrats are supporting that, but they used to sound just like Bernie Sanders. And you can play the clips of Bill Clinton, even Joe Biden, going back years and years where they sounded exactly like what you just heard Bernie Sanders say. And they don't sound like that anymore. Even Cesar Chavez, the Farm Workers Union icon. They still have streets all over the country that are named after Cesar Chavez because of the work that he did to empower farm workers. Even Cesar Chavez was against illegal immigration. Take a listen.
Is to really destroy the farm worker movement and to destroy it in such a way that will take away the rights of the workers to do basically two very important things in order to defend themselves and win contracts. One is that it takes the right to strike from us, and it also takes the right of boycotting.
Why do you need those rights? Well, what's so important about that?
Well, you say, we maintain that agriculture is different, has always been different.
We maintain that every culture is different. Cesar Chavez. Are you being racist, Cesar?
Say, we maintain that agriculture is different, has always been different. This is why agriculture and farm workers were never organized before. As long as we have a poor country bordering California, it's going to be very difficult to win strikes, as strikes are won normally by other unions. We don't have an employer, as is the case right now in one of the strikes we have with the Butte Gas and Oil Company, where we've closed them down, then have been unable to get strike breakers, or we've gotten very few. And then all of a sudden, yesterday morning, they brought in 220 wetbacks. These are the illegals from Mexico. Now, there's no way to defend against that kind of strike breaking, and so therefore the only way to win strikes is by then taking our fight to the citizens, to the people in the city especially,
and ask them to boycott. So basically, what he's saying is that we don't have the ability to collective bargain. We don't have the ability to strike if we're going to have scabs come over across the border and just provide cheap labor and work under the circumstances that we're fighting to change. Basically, is what Cesar Chavez said. So he was against it. He understood the economic impact of open borders.
Does that put you in an uncomfortable position to be against the illegal immigrants because they are from Mexico? In other words, part of your program has been an appeal to equal treatment of people of Mexican origin. Right?
Oh yeah, sure, but we're speaking of the legal ones. We don't want Mexico to export its poverty to us, and then we pay.
We support legal immigration, is what Cesar Chavez says. We don't want Mexico to export their poverty to the United States. We don't want not only Mexico, Venezuela, Honduras, Colombia, El Salvador. We don't want these countries to export their poverty into the United States, because we have our own poor here in the United States. A lot of them, a lot of veterans, a lot of families that are poor. And we need to care for them. We don't have the resources to care for our poor, and then we got to care for the rest of the world's poor, is what Cesar Chavez says.
Of people of Mexican origin. Right?
Oh yeah, sure, but we're speaking of the legal ones. We don't want Mexico to export its poverty to us, and then we pay. It's not the agriculture, it's not society in general. It's a farm worker again paying for those sins. The citizen is out of a job because of the wetbacks. They're coming in by the thousands, just unbelievable. See, they're coming in with a consent.
So he calls them wetbacks a couple of times. That's not right, Cesar Chavez. But that's Cesar Chavez. I mean, that's Cesar Chavez. What are you going to say? So now you have articles like this coming out again. Nothing that Donald Trump is doing is different, except the PR campaign and the messaging campaign. But as far as the amount of people that are being deported, Donald Trump doesn't even he hadn't even scratched the surface as to what Obama did, and even Biden in his last year, who ramped up the deportations. Biden's been deporting people like crazy in his last year. But now you have articles like this from NBC Los Angeles. The California Farm Bureau says fears in the Central Valley have led to migrant farm workers not showing up to work, which has virtually halted the area's citrus harvest. They're saying that people aren't showing up to work, and you know, because they're illegal. First of all, I do believe that we can have a guest worker program, that these people, if they need to come in and Americans won't do these jobs, then we should have a guest worker program where we can bring in people from other countries, from Mexico, to do these jobs. If we can't find Americans to do them, and then we have to look at the pay, we have to look at the benefits, and we have to make sure that everyone's fair. We can't have these workers coming in from Mexico undercutting American workers. If American workers will do the work, you just have to, you know, pay them fair and put them in fair conditions. So this is some of the narratives that are going around saying that food's going to start being more expensive because these people aren't showing up to work because they're afraid. And you have a lot of Democrat politicians retweeting this and passing this around. This is the economic impact of Trump shutting down the border. Now, there's a greater economic impact of Trump leaving the border open. And then this video went viral. This is the actress, Hollywood actress, Selena Gomez. And she put out this video of herself crying this morning. And you can see at the bottom, she wrote, "I'm sorry," with the Mexican flag. Now, why the Mexican flag? Why the Mexican flag? Why not the United States flag? I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't put the United States flag if this is an issue of the United States. Why would you put the Mexican flag, Selena Gomez? But I'm sorry, and then crying, and people have been talking about this all day. It went viral, even though she deleted it. She deleted it shortly after putting this out. Then people still grabbed it. You couldn't delete anything off the internet these days. And it got shared widely of Selena Gomez crying because Donald Trump is deporting a bunch of people now. Like, I guess you didn't know that Obama deported all these people, or that Joe Biden's been deporting people for the last year. But now that Donald Trump is putting out the new messaging, and she's seeing the PR campaign the Trump administration is putting out new messaging, and she's seeing the new PR campaign from the Trump administration. And a lot of people like her are reacting to it. But Joe Biden's been deporting people for the past year, honey, and you weren't crying. You weren't crying about the woman who got pistol whipped in her house by the Venezuelan gang. You weren't crying about Lakeland Riley and the other people that were murdered by illegal. You weren't crying about any of this, but now the messaging is different. And Donald Trump is putting out the new messaging that we're closed. She's crying about that with the Mexican flag underneath.
I just wanted to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked.
All my people are getting attacked. The children. Ridiculous.
I don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do.
Oh my God. It's so embarrassing.
Everything I promise.
It's so embarrassing. And, you know, this is why people don't like Hollywood. Again, what is the Mexican flag about? I'm going to explain to you what the Mexican flag is about. This is Tom Homan reacting to this Selena Gomez video that went viral. Take a listen.
I don't know if you've had a chance to see a video that has been going viral over the past hour or so. We're still working to clear it and show it. In fact, The Hollywood celebrity who posted it has now deleted it, I think because probably she faced a lot of backlash for it, noting even the New York Times and Fox News polls show that a majority of American respondents are in favor of deportations of criminals and gang members.
For it.
She posted a video sobbing. She was crying in it. She said, all my people are getting attacked, with the picture of a Mexican flag. Again, she has now taken that down. But what do you say to those who are out there saying that these are everyday people, these are families that are being attacked and dragged out of their homes? How do you respond to that?
I don't think we arrested any families. We've arrested public safety threats and national security threats, bottom line. And look, President Trump won the election on this one issue, securing our border and saving lives. What happened on our southern border last 4 years is the biggest national security threat this country's seen.
Absolutely.
At least in my lifetime, because we got over 2 million known gotaways. We got a 600% increase in sex trafficking. We got a record number of terrorists crossing the border on the terrorist watch list. We have 250,000 Americans die from fentanyl coming across the open border. We're going to do this job, and we're going to enforce the laws of this country. If they don't like it, then go to Congress and change the law. We're going to do this operational apology. We're going to make our community safer. We're going to save. Once we lock that border on continuous operation, you're going to see fentanyl deaths decrease, illegal alien crime decrease, sex trafficking decrease. It's just all for the good of this nation, and we're going to keep going.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You were elected to do that, and thank you for doing it. All right, so again, what are the Mexican flags about? We saw that Selena Gomez put the Mexican flag underneath her, crying about this, and then you saw these protests that were going on in Dallas over the weekend. This is Dallas, Texas, and they decided to march in protest of what the Donald Trump administration is doing, and these ICE raids, and you see them waving the Mexican flag. What is this about? This is the United States of America. You know, why? I mean, if you think that if you want to be part of the United States and that's what you're fighting for, so you can be assimilated in the United States, why aren't you brandishing the United States flag? If this is an issue about the United States and all of you people that are here legally, you want to be part of the United States. You want to be assimilated into United States culture. You want to be called Americans and have American citizenship. Then why are you brandishing the flag of another nation? What is this about? What is this flying the Mexican flag about? This is the protest that was going on in Dallas over the weekend. Not a single American flag, only Mexican flags, and a lot of Mexican flags. Take a look. Just Mexican flags. Si se puede. So it's so funny because they're chanting si se puede, which is yes we can. Which who made the yes we can chant popular? This guy who was calling you wetbacks, that we don't want you to come in. This guy's the one who created Si Se Puede, the yes we can. This guy, Cesar Chavez, they were saying that we don't want the wetbacks to come in and undercut us. This guy, he created Si Se Puede, the chant that these guys are marching around with their Mexican flags saying Si Se Puede. Si se puede, si se puede. That's Cesar Chavez. But look, all the Mexican flags, brandishing the Mexican flags. What's this about? This is Dallas, Texas. I'm going to tell you what this is about. Governor Abbott needs to get a handle on this. Definitely. This is a little bit more of that protest. All Mexican flags. They're just brandishing, waving the Mexican flags. No American flags. This is Mexican flags. What is this about? And that's the other thing, too. When they were doing this protest in Dallas yesterday with the brandishing the Mexican flags and yelling Si Se Puede, they were blocking traffic. So they don't have a right to do that. You have a right First Amendment right to peacefully protest. You don't have a right to block traffic. So Governor Abbott, you need to get on this. Just Mexican flags, not a single American flag. A single American flag. So what is this about? What is that? So I want you to see that this is the same protest there in Dallas. You see the American flag here that this guy has up on his business. They rip down the American flag. They're all brandishing and waving Mexican flags. They rip down the American flag and they throw it. You'll see the cop go and get it. So they're not only waving and brandishing another nation's flag, they're tearing down the flag of this nation and throwing it. I want you to take a look. Oh, that's that guy's flag. It wasn't for the business. So they take his American flag. They take his American flag and then go and throw it. And then they all cheering while they're waving and brandishing the flag of another nation. What is this about? What is this about? What is this about? You better get a hold of that, Abbott. This is in another city. This is in Phoenix, Arizona. This is also over the weekend. Same thing. They have a protest. They're protesting the actions that Trump has taken, that Biden's been doing for the past year. They're idiots. They don't know that Biden has the same policy. The only thing that's different is the messaging. But this is in Phoenix, Arizona. Same thing. At least you do see a few American flags here. This American flag right here, American flag right here. But predominantly Mexican flags are here being waved in Phoenix. Take a look. All right. So what is this about? What this is about, people, and this is something that that maybe you've heard of. Maybe you've seen signs if you've lived in Texas. I've seen signs on the side of the road when you're driving through Texas, and it'll say Reconquista. But this is what this is about. This is about Reconquista. There is a belief amongst the Mexican American community that the western part of the United States was stolen from them, and they have a belief that through immigration that they are going to reconquista, reconquer the area that was stolen from them, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California, that they believe that that's theirs. And this has been a ingrained belief that they understand amongst themselves, that Americans don't seem to understand that. And that's why when you're riding through Texas and you'll see signs that say Reconquista, they are speaking to themselves. Americans just, drive down the street and see it, and they don't even understand what that means, Reconquista. But what it means is that through immigration, that they are going to reconquer, retake the territory that was taken from them. The term Reconquista goes back to Spain and the Iberian Peninsula and the period of Andalus when the Umayyad Caliphate and the Moors had taken over what is now Spain and the Iberian Peninsula. And this is the reason that the two houses of Aragon and Castile, that they come together and they join together to reconquer the Iberian Peninsula and to retake the area of Spain over from the Moors and the Umayyad Caliphate. So this was their battle cry when they would go to war with the Muslims to reconquer the Iberian Peninsula. Their battle cry was Reconquista. Well, Reconquista became the battle cry of Mexico after the Mexican-American War. You have to understand that Mexico, they won their independence from Spain in 1821. And then after Mexico won their independence from Spain, everything that was Spain's territory in the New World became Mexico's territory. So in 1821, when Mexico won its independence from Spain, all of California became Mexico. All of Arizona became Mexico. All of New Mexico became Mexico. Texas became Mexico. But not only those areas. If you look at the map of Mexico in 1822, and this is it, you'll see that Mexico, they had all of the territory going straight down to Costa Rica. So that means that Honduras was Mexico. Costa Rica was Mexico. El Salvador was Mexico. Belize was Mexico. Nicaragua was Mexico. All these countries down here became Mexico when Mexico won their independence from Spain. And they're all independent nations now. Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, they all won their independence from Mexico. So Mexico also had the territory in America, and these American territories became America. It first started with the Texas Revolution and Texas winning their independence in the 1830s. 1836 is when Texas became its own country, because Texas wasn't annexed by the United States for another 9 years in 1845. So that's why Texas is called the Lone Star State, because after Texas won its independence from Mexico, it was its own country for 9 years before it was finally annexed by the United States. But you also had the French, the Pastry War, and the French intervention into Mexico, because once Mexico became independent from Spain, then Mexico had to defend all this territory. All this territory that Mexico won in their independence from Spain, they had to defend it. So the French were coming over and trying to take over Mexico. The United States wanted to take this territory that they eventually got. All these countries down here that were Mexico, Nicaragua, Honduras, Costa Rica, El Salvador, they all wanted their independence. So Mexico had to defend all this territory. Once they declared their independence and won their independence from Spain, they were not able to defend all of this territory. So Texas breaks off, and then many United States presidents attempted, after Mexico won their independence from Spain, to purchase this territory to the west, which was New Mexico, Arizona, California. Mexico refused to sell. And then there was this border dispute that once Texas is annexed in 1845, there was this border dispute about what's the southernmost part of Texas. The Mexicans said that it was the Nueces River, and then the Texan says, no, it's the Rio Grande River. So because of this border dispute, under the administration of James Polk, the American military marches down, and they march beyond the Nueces River. They instigate the Mexican-American War. The Mexican-American War is fought between Mexico and the United States. The United States wins the war, and then they force Mexico to sell these territories, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. They forced Mexico to sell those territories to the United States. And that happened in 1848. In 1849, gold is discovered in California. And the Mexicans have they've never forgotten this. They've never forgotten what happened in the mid 19th century, where they believed that these territories, the territories of New Mexico, California, and Arizona, were stolen from them. And they have the belief, this is what then they started using the battle cry, the same battle cry that the Spanish used in Spain to retake over the Iberian Peninsula from the Moors and the Umayyad Caliphate. They started to use this battle cry in Mexico, the Reconquista battle cry, the reconquer this territory. That's what these Mexican flags are about. That's why these people are waving these Mexican flags and tearing down American flags is because they see Donald Trump coming in with this new messaging, and it's a messaging war. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. And I hope that the governor of Texas is able to get a handle on this, because this is the first president that I've seen in my lifetime to stand up to this, and to and I don't even know if Trump understands the concept of Reconquista and what these people really feel about the fact that Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California belong to them, and it was stolen from them, and they're going to reconquer it. Last thing that I'm going to play is a clip from Joe Biden, and this is Joe Biden when he was running for president in 2007. He was in that same primary with Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, and he's asked about the federal government's ability to step over the local municipalities, to go into these cities. Like the mayor of Chicago has said that they're going to try to block the Trump administration from coming in and doing these ICE raids. And the governor of Illinois was on the Sunday shows yesterday, Pritzker, and he says that, we're not going to allow this, that we want the criminals out. If he's only going after criminals, we're not going to let him go after anyone else. And this is Joe Biden being asked about this in 2007. And if he's president of the United States, will he allow these states and these cities who want to put up a fight against the federal government from securing the border, deporting illegals and all this stuff? I want you to listen to what Joe Biden said in 2007.
Would you allow these cities to ignore the federal law regarding the reporting of illegal immigrants and, in fact, provide sanctuary to these immigrants?
The reason the cities ignore the federal law is the fact that there is no funding at the federal level to provide for the kind of enforcement at the federal level you need. Pick up the New York Times today. There's a city not far across the river from my state that imposed the similar sanctions. And what they found out is, as a consequence of that, their city went in the dumps, in the dumpster. Stores started closing. Everything started to happen. And they changed the policy. Part of the problem is you have to have a federal government that can enforce laws. This administration has been fundamentally derelict in not funding any of the requirements that are needed even to enforce the existing law.
So, Senator Biden, yes or no, would you allow the cities to ignore the federal law?
No.
No. I won't. I mean, you have to enforce the law. This law. He was talking about the Bush administration back in 2007 when he was running for president. But this is the law. If you guys don't like this law, change the law. But you have to enforce the law, and the federal government has to have the ability to enforce the law. And that's what Joe Biden was saying back in 2007. Now, I don't know if he still believes that today. Just like when I was playing the clip of Bernie Sanders when he was saying open borders is a Koch brothers policy. That no, we don't believe in open borders. I don't know if Bernie Sanders believes that today, because a lot of Democrats have changed their rhetoric. The Democratic Party itself has changed their rhetoric on this issue. Even though Joe Biden in his last year in office, he ramped up deportations, and so did Obama. But the messaging was different. Obama left the border open. They were able to come back in and to violate our laws over and over again. There's a new sheriff in town. There's new messaging, and it is promises made, promises kept all over again. This is just one of many areas that we have seen in the last week where there have been promises made and promises kept. I love it. I'll see you guys on Friday. Probably be talking about the Tulsi Gabbard hearings, because they're going to be explosive. Those are on Thursday. I'll see you guys on Friday. Have a great week.